Greetings, everyone. It's Father Brian from St. Moses the Black Sacramental Mission of the Liberal Catholic Union here in Asheville, North Carolina. And today I wanted to try making a different kind of video. Usually when I make a video for the YouTube channel, I've been thinking for a while about a particular thing, and then I'll film a bunch of takes of the video and make notes and all of this kind of stuff. But today I was just kind of feeling inspired by some thoughts and thought I would try recording them, and so we'll just see how it goes. I was thinking about, recently I was talking to someone who struggles very much with a lot of anger around the concept of God, a lot of anger in reaction to the experience of suffering and tragedy and trauma in the world, and how to reconcile this with a sense of God, and therefore kind of embraces a version of a really materialist outlook of life, while very much suffering on the inside by the lack of fulfillment of spirituality. And as I was talking to them and trying to speak about something essential and something meaningful, and we kept coming to the real anger with and rejection of the way Christianity had been taught to them and the way they see it manifest in the world. And I think there's a certain way in which we can set aside Jesus, Christianity, anything that even looks like that, and talk about one essential thing. And this is what we ended up talking about. Is there something to me that is more than just the meat body, right? Is there something essential about Brian that transcends the limitations and potentially the mortality of material existence, right? Do I just die when this body dies? Is there something looking out of my eyes and hearing out of my ears and experiencing this moment right now? Is that something other than simply the body? I think this is, if there's a ground of what I think of as the Judeo-Christian tradition, and I think of that in a way, in essence, the way I think about that is that Christianity is a manifestation of this thing that is rooted in something that is way older than Christianity, way older than Judaism, way older than Islam or any of this stuff. It's ancient, ancient, ancient. And I think one of the ground points is that question right there. Is there more than just this? And the person said, and I'll just stop being coy, this is my father. And my father said, yes, I think that you're more than just your body, but I just think that about you. And I said, that's not true. You think about my sister. And he said, yeah. You think about my mother. Yes. My uncle was sitting there. I said, what about my uncle? What about him? Is he just the body? Or is he more than that? My father, yes, him too. And you begin to extend that out, and you get to the concept of a self or soul or spirit, this fundamental central thing, this point of separate individual existence that transcends the material. And there's all kinds of ways one could interpret aspects of Buddhism that point to this thing. But in general, one of the ideas that I encountered in my practice in the theory of Buddhism is that this thing, this essential thing that I'm talking about, is just as impermanent as anything else. And I think a different tradition came out of Central Asia and spread through the Middle East, and part of this thing is the idea of an eternal self. This is a ground floor thing of the meta tradition that all of this comes out of, and it's a different. I think about the spiritual path a lot of ways, and kind of like operative theology or something like that, as the framework through which I view and experience the world, and the framework and view of the eternal nature of spirit is a fundamental shift. And that night with my father, we just couldn't get past that point. The whole topic of religion and spirituality is very triggering for him. But I think this is a fundamental thing, like I said, that I conceive of Zoroastrianism and Judaism and Christianity and various forms of Gnosticism and Islam and the esoteric threads that run through all of these things, and Vedic Hinduism as well. They're rooted in a meta myth and in a meta tradition, and it's as old as you want to count. And I think it's as old as you want to count because it's something. It's thoughts and framework that come out of the accessible experience of consciousness. And so I think this is a fundamental ground piece of the meta tradition that we are a manifestation of. And when I talk about Gnosticism, I think one of the fundamental aspects of Gnostic practice for me is engaging with that source. And I think you can engage with that source through the sacraments. That's what they're for. That's the promise of the sacraments. And from an esoteric approach, this is a path. And so that's one of the ways that it's accessed. But there's many ways that it's accessed. It's accessed through it's a poor word to say the worship of fire. Maybe it's the worship through fire. It's the worship through fire. This is a fundamental aspect of it as well. Which leads maybe into the next one, which is Sky God, right? But I'll save that for another video. I just recorded this. I'm going to post it as is. I hope you guys dig it. Please, as always, give me some likes, subscribe to the channel. It's silly. Like I'm not interested in doing anything with this other than expressing things and making a record of them and sharing them with people and hoping that it has an influence on stuff. But that kind of stuff just bolsters the potential influence. And feel free to share and reach out to me if you want to talk about these things. And I just leave you with the blessing that the Christ help transform you in a way that you move from falsehood to truth, from darkness to light, and from death to immortality. I'll see you guys later.